Why hello there, a nice Joe here. I hope this video finds you well, and today I'm bringing you a review of this, the Remette Peregrine Falcon. I've been wanting to get this knife for a while, and it kept getting put off, and then I finally decided to pull the trigger, and yeah, I'm super happy with this thing. There are a few tweaks that I wouldn't mind seeing, but they are minor compared to how good this knife is. So, let us jump into specs real quick, and then we can talk about how good this knife is, because this is a very interesting knife and a very interesting looking knife, but it's really backing up that appearance with some real with some great what's the word I want to say? I don't know what the word I want to say is. It's good. You've got just under 3.5 inches of blade. I'd say it's over 3 3/8, but under 3.5. So maybe yeah, it's almost directly in between them. Overall, not handle length, the 7 7/8, and now for the actual handle length, about 4.5. So not perfect ratios. Like usually look for about an inch less blade than handle, but still pretty reasonable, still pretty good. You're getting a little bit extra blade length than you think you are because, you know, the change in angle, it's not just a straight blade, but yeah. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm operating on very, 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 very little sleep, like 30 minutes. So I don't know where I'm going with anything right now. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, okay. Comparisons to our small Civivi Elementum and full-size Conspirator, it's definitely smaller than the Conspirator, though it's closer to the Conspirator than the Elementum. I'm going to call this a medium-sized knife. It really doesn't feel quite full-sized, but you do have a lot of grip. And we'll of course talk about that in a minute. Thickness compared to the Conspirator, it is a bit thicker. It's a slightly thicker knife. I mean, the main titanium scales aren't that much thicker, but you've got these sort of inlay overlay titanium scale pivot collars, I guess you could actually call that a pivot collar, and they're on the thicker side. Back here, not quite too bad. It is a little taller than the Conspirator without the flipper tab, and a little bit shorter than the Conspirator with the flipper tab in, height. Our last comparison being grip length. And you have more than 2 AA batteries. That's one thing this thing does excel at, despite it not being really that large. You have a lot of positions to go to. It's very roomy, very open, very nice. It's one of the big benefits, in my opinion. Hardware. You've got a T8 pivot, T8 body screws, T8 pocket clip screws. Not that that's even reversible, but they're T8 too. So, yes, Remette. I have to admit, Remette is doing some good stuff. They seem to be listening to some people a little bit more than other companies, and I very much appreciate it. Excuse me. Weight of the Falcon, or the Peregrine Falcon, I guess. Did you see that? Did you see it just flash on there? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's 4.81 ounces. It's not an ounce an inch. It is a slightly heavy knife for the size of it. But you've got full titanium scales, you've got titanium pieces added on, you have a whole secondary lock system here. If you haven't noticed already, it's got a frame lock, but it's also, a liner lock, but it's also got the pivot as a secondary locking button, so it's doing some extra stuff in here. I'm not faulting it for it, and I don't mind carrying a 5-ounce knife. Maybe that could be a downside for some people. Okay. Thickness. Thickness of the scales itself is 499 thousandths, which is actually thinner than the Conspirator, but at its thickest with these pieces up here. Ooh, 645 thousandths. That is thicker than the Conspirator by a decent margin. So, most of it's not that thick, but yeah, it is, I guess, since you're probably contacting here to here. Yeah, I guess it would actually be mostly thick. It's all here that's not thick, but you got a pocket clip for most of that, so yeah. It's a reasonably thick knife. Again, though, not unbearably so, even for those numbers. Like, it doesn't feel that bad. 137 thousandths on the blade stock. Okay. Interesting, strange choice, but okay. Behind the edge, you have about 15 thousandths behind the edge. Pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable, right? Kind of where I like seeing it, honestly. The forward edge is... Is the forward edge actually thinner? That'd be weird. Well... They're within, like, a thousandths of each other, so I'm going to say they're probably pretty close to the same, but... Yeah, the forward edge might actually be a tiny bit thinner. It does kind of feel it, which is interesting. So, or I should say, another thing that's interesting with the knife. Alright, now that we're done with specs, let's take a look at what we're looking at here. This is a... Is it a dual ground, or is it a compound ground? I think compound is when it's got two different grinds, and dual ground is just separated into two grinds. It's a dual ground Tonto, I guess. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong there. With... I don't know if this is a blasting, but it's definitely a little bit more reflective and nicer than some blastings. And I don't mind it that much. I wouldn't mind seeing it just be a satin or a stonewash, honestly. You got a satin on the flat, so maybe just a stonewash, but this is honestly not bad looking. This is pretty good. You've got the Remette logo, really nicely, kind of just off to the side there. Love seeing that. And the steel is M390, which actually says it back there. Everything else is completely bereft of logo, and that's how I like it. This is great. Wonderful. The plunge grind is also great and wonderful. It does hit sort of behind the edge, but far enough away, because, I mean, you can see where the edge actually ends. It actually hits here, where the... Like, if you're going to cut in a plunge grind, you can cut it in between here and never get near that. So it's not going to be a problem. I suppose if you wait till you're all the way up here and you cut in a plunge grind, you decide to cut in one from here to here, that could be a problem, but just stay in front of, slightly in front of this line, and you should be fine. Not going to be a big problem for me, and you already have decent life on there just in general. As you can see, there's a lot of milling and work into the blade. You've got sort of a fuller with an opening hole aperture and the tiniest hint of a poon starting. Yeah, interesting. And you've also got technically a clipped point, so it's almost like a modified sheep's foot Tonto. Either way, it creates a very close to center line point, so it's very good access to the tip. Sort of almost spear pointish if you just were to look at this. That would be very spear pointish, honestly. It's doing a lot of things. The blade's interesting. I like the look of it. I like the functionality of it. It's definitely giving you some stuff to work with here. There is some jimping here. This does not really provide anything in the opening position other than maybe just a little tactile feel, which, I mean, can be nice, just knowing where you are, somewhat, kind of. But, yeah, no, that's mostly for the front flipper, which it is, but we'll get to the opening methods in a second. Why was I going to put off getting to the opening methods? I don't remember, so let's just, Oh, the lock. It does have a secondary lock here. This is only usable in the opening position. So it stops the liner lock from going closed when the knife is open. It does not function or move in the closed position. actuation methods here. This is the only area where I think the knife could be improved a little bit. You've got a front flipper. It could use better jimping. It does work just fine. I actually have no problem with it, even though it's not my favorite kind of jimping. It works great. I think it's partially because it's like far away and it's tall enough to give you enough traction. It's the fuller that could be used a little bit better. When I go to reverse flick this thing, I can get in here at this position. It is a bit tight, but I'm naturally kind of, you see this little extra little cutout kind of thing? You got kind of a cutout for the lock bar axis and then a cutout there. That's about where I want, when I naturally just pick this knife up, that's where I go. Which is a little bit lower than I really can because I start running into this part of the fuller. I wouldn't mind seeing the fuller extended, like, cut it out down there instead. Just give us a little bit more hole. And that would be nice because you could then get your finger in a little bit better. Oh, wow, this is really it's lots of innuendo here. A little bit more hole, a little bit better access equals better actuation. There you go. And the thumb flick, I guess, is not really good. Partially because the fuller is not deep enough that, like, you can do it from the fuller, but you can also find yourself slipping off if you don't use the hole a little bit. Wow. Yeah, I hope nobody... This entire conversation is starting to go pretty poorly. But for the thumb flick, you don't really have anything that isn't sort of slick to work with. You can get it if you just sort of ride your finger up, but you can also screw up. Basically, just kind of sit your finger right in that crux there and pop. It works. I can't say it doesn't. I can't say it's actually hurting the knife, in my opinion, because I still love the knife. But I do think for the reverse flick, just a little bit more of a lower portion of that hole needs to be cut out, just to make a little bit better access. Beyond that, it's pretty freaking great. Everything works, and that's what's important. As I said, it is a liner lock. In fact, it is a titanium liner lock, isn't it? No, it is a steel liner lock. But there is also what appears to be a lock bar insert. Nice touch, I guess. That's fine. I don't mind that. The liner's only on one side. The other side is pretty heavily milled out in there. You can kind of see the pockets. I don't know why you'd put a lock bar insert on a steel liner, but hey, why not, right? You can definitely use the liner lock. There is a good access to it. You can get it from the side. It's comfortable, but the fun part is the spring-loaded pivot here that allows it to actuate like a button lock. And it's a pivot lock. I like the fact that it's both and that you have like the support of the actual liner. Just a pivot lock can start, I don't know. I don't know how those kind of work. I've never been inside one of them. So, I don't know. I feel like this maybe would be a little bit stronger even. But that's just me guessing. Yeah. Either way, it's pretty cool, and this is just kind of satisfying. You can even open it like this, like you would with a button lock. It is a little bit, like, you got a little bit of play. It's definitely spring-loaded in here. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't make noise. It's fine. But I guess if you don't like it, it doesn't feel completely perfectly solid, so I guess maybe that could bother someone. Who knows? Moving on from there, you have just basically straight titanium handles. This particular one is in the gold, and it's almost like a burnt bronze. It's a slight bit of brown, but it's also got a slight bit of black, like a decent amount of black in there. Just a quick glance from a distance, it looks black, but if once you get up closer, it is slightly brown. But in a way that really makes it kind of attractive. And it really does play nicely with the colors. I really like it. I think it looks really nice. You've also got some very subtle micro milling all over the inlay here that is not actually on the yeah, on the handles. Lanyard hole. You've got a not deep carry pocket clip. It doesn't really. It's maybe it's not quite medium even carry. It's not a super deep carry. It really isn't. So that could be a thing for some people, but it does give you quite a bit of purchase and ease to pull it out of the pocket. I will say it is a little slippery here because it's just flat and there's nothing to grip onto. I don't think you're going to have an issue, but that is something to be noted. The pocket clip is a little tight, but it does work. There's also, I guess, tritium slots that you could put a little vial in there if you want to light this thing up. Kind of. I don't really do that, but it's theoretically available. The knife is on bearings, by the way, with what appears to be Teflon caged bearings, which perfectly fine by me. They feel pretty good. Maybe not like super ultra smooth glide bearings, but they feel pretty good. And it drops cleanly when you depress the pivot completely, so no complaints there. It is... Is that centered? Yeah, it's perfectly centered. It's just the angle and the light hitting it from certainly. It is perfectly centered. There is no play. And it honestly came that way. So, yeah, no complaints there. This is, without a doubt, a really... Oh, before we go there. Ergos. That's one of the areas where this thing sings. Not only do you have a lot of room to move around on, the ergos are super neutral. Yeah, it's an angular knife. It's not contoured or anything like that. However, this is about as comfortable as you can get. This is almost hand-meltingly comfortable. If this thing were contoured, it might be hand-meltingly comfortable. It's really, really good. It's just thick enough. It's just tall enough. But it's super comfortable. The pocket clip is just... it's barely even there most of the time. Sometimes it's almost completely gone. Like right here, I don't even notice it at all. This thing is remarkably comfortable in the hand. And I wasn't expecting it to be quite that great, honestly. It's one area where I've definitely been surprised. And pleasantly so. So, this is a cool knife. This is a really, really, really interesting knife. You're getting a lot of detail here, and a lot of... you're getting good materials, you're getting what appears to be extremely good execution. Details, extra little bits, and they've kept this thing under, like, a $300 price point. Considerably under a $300 price point. Like, what is this? Around $250? I can't remember off the top of my head. Hold on, I should check. And we're back. Yeah, I should probably have checked before. It is the review, after all. Yeah, these things are $245, except for there's one variant. There's a tiger-striped, like, flamed anno variant that is $255 for some reason. Every other one is $245, and there are several variants. Let's go through that. There's just a plain titanium, just looks like a basic finish. There's like a darker finish titanium. There's this. There's the flame anno that also has this particular color of pivot collars. The other one, the plain ones, have lightning anno pivot collars, which normally I'm not a big fan of, but it's just the pivot collar. There's also a bronze one with lightning anno, and then there's a fully lightning anno one. Oh, that one technically is a little bit more expensive too, but well, where I'm looking, it's currently sitting at $245 with the rest of them. So there are a few options. Some more plain ones. I like just this one the best, personally. That's why I got it. But at $245, this is hitting well above its weight class. It is, because, no, it's not refined to the level of, like, a $400 Riot, but it's giving you an added element and the quality of approaching like a $300 Wii. It is. So, yeah. This thing's poised really good. Remette's done a really good job here. And I am absolutely in love with the knife. And I'm happy to be able to say that, because I thought I would be, because I love the look of it. But wasn't sure once I got it in hand. And yeah, it stands up. It's a good one. I may even link it down below. Heck, I don't know if I even can get a link where I would get any kickback from it, but I'm still going to link it down below, regardless, because it's a good knife, and it's a fun knife, and it's super comfortable, and that's it. So that's the Remette Peregrine Falcon. I hope I conveyed that I do like this knife quite a bit, and I hope that I conveyed everything in a logical and coherent manner, honestly, because like I said, am operating on zero sleep, so I am not sure what the hell I just said. No idea. But that's all do it for me. Thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. See you guys in the next one.